Nemesis by HP Lovecraft. Through the ghoul-guarded gateways of slumber, past the wan-mooned abysses of night, I have lived o'er my lives without number. I have sounded all things with my sight, and I struggle and shriek ere the day break, being driven to madness with fright. I have whirled with the earth at the dawning, when the sky was a vaporous flame. I have seen the dark universe yawning, where black planets roll without aim, where they roll in their horror unheeded, without knowledge or luster or name. I had drifted o'er the seas without ending, under sinister gray clouded skies, that many-forked lightning is rending, that resound with hysterical cries, with the moans of the invisible demons that out of green waters rise. I have plunged like a deer through the arches of the hoary primordial grove, where the oaks feel the presence that marches and stalks on where no spirit dares rove, and I flee from a thing that surrounds me and leers through dead branches above. I have stumbled by cave-ridden mountains that rise barren and bleak from the plain. I have drunk of fog-fetid fountains that ooze down to the marsh and the main, and in the hot, cursed tarns I have seen things I care not to gaze on again. I have scanned the vast, ivy-clad palace. I have trod its untenanted hall, where the moon writhing up from the valleys shows the tapestried things on the wall, strange figures discordantly woven, which I cannot endure to recall. I have peered from the casement in wonder at the moldering meadows around, at the many-roofed village laid under the curse of a grave-girdled ground, and from the rows of white urn-carven marble I listen intently for sound. I have haunted the tombs of the ages. I have flown on the pinions of fear, where the smoke-belching Airbus rages, where the jocals loom snow-clad and drear, in the realms where the sun of the desert consumes what it can never cheer. I was old when the pharaohs first mounted the jewel-decked throne by the Nile. I was old in those epochs uncounted, when I, and only I, was vile, and man, yet untainted and happy, dwelt in bliss on a far Arctic isle. Oh, great was the sin of my spirit, and great was the reach of its doom. Not the pity of heaven can cheer it, nor can respite be found in the tomb. Down the infinite eons come beating the wings of unmerciful gloom. Through the ghoul-guarded gateways of slumber, past the wan-mooned abysses of night, I have lived o'er my lives without number. I have sounded all things with my sight, and I struggle and shriek ere the day break, being driven to madness with fright. The Nightmare Lake by HP Lovecraft. There is a lake in distant Zan, beyond the wonted haunts of man, where broods alone in hideous state a spirit dead and desolate, a spirit ancient and unholy, heavy with fearsome melancholy, which from waters dull and dense draws vapors cursed with pestilence. Around the banks a mire of clay sprawl things offensive in decay, and curious birds that reach that shore are seen by mortals nevermore. Here shines by day a searing sun, on glassy wastes beheld by none, and here by night pale moonbeams flow into the deeps that yawn below. In nightmares only is it told what scenes beneath those beams unfold. What scenes too old for human sight lie sunken there in endless night. For in those depths their only pace the shadows of a voiceless race. One midnight, redolent of ill, I saw that lake asleep and still, while in the lurid sky there rode a gibbous moon that glowed and glowed. I saw the stretching marshy shore, and the foul things those marshes bore. Lizards and snakes convulsed and dying, ravens and vampires putrefying. All these, and hovered over the dead, the kafagai that on them fed. And as the dreadful moon climbed high, frightening the stars from out of the sky, I saw the lake's dull water glow, till sunken things appeared below. There shone unnumbered fathoms down towers of a forgotten town, the tarnished domes and mossy walls, weed tangled spires and empty halls, deserted fanes and vaults of dread, and streets of gold uncoveted. These I beheld and saw beside a horde of shapeless shadows glide, a noxious horde which to my glance seemed moving in a hideous dance round slimy sepulchres that lay beside a never-traveled way. Straight from those tombs a heaving rose that vexed the water's dull repose, while lethal shades of upper space howled at the moon's sardonic face. Then sank the lake within its bed, sucked down to caverns of the dead, till from the reeking new-stripped earth curled fetid fumes of noisome birth. About the city nigh uncovered the monstrous dancing shadows hovered, when lo, there opened with sudden stir a portal of each sepulchre. No ear may learn, no tongue may tell what nameless horror then befell. I see that lake, that moon a-grin, that city and the things within, walking, I pray, on that shore. The nightmare lake may sink no more. Despair by H.P. Lovecraft. O'er the midnight moorlands crying, through the cypress forests sighing, in the night wind madly flying, hellish forms with streaming hair, in the barren branches creaking, by the stagnant swamp pools speaking, past the shore cliffs ever shrieking, damned demons of despair. Once I think I half remember, ere the grey skies of November quenched my youth's aspiring ember, lived there such a thing as bliss. Skies that are now dark were beaming, gold and azure splendid seeming, till I learned it all was dreaming, deadly drowsiness of dis. But the stream of time swift flowing brings the torment of half-knowing, dimly rushing, blindly going past the ever-trodden lea. And the voyager, repining, sees the wicked death fires shining, hears the wicked petrels whining, as he helpless drifts to sea. Evil wings in ether beating, vultures at the spirit eating, things unseen forever fleeting, black against the leering sky, ghastly shades of bygone gladness, clawing fiends of future sadness, mingle in a cloud of madness, ever on the soul to lie. Thus the living, lone and sobbing, in the throes of anguish throbbing, with the loathsome Furies robbing, night and noon of peace and rest. But beyond the groans and grating of abhorrent life is waiting sweet oblivion, culminating all the years of fruitless quest. Astrophobes by HP Lovecraft. In the midnight heavens burning, thro' ethereal depths afar, once I watched with restless yearning an alluring aureate star, every eye aloft returning, gleaming nigh the Arctic car. Mystic waves of beauty blended with gorgeous golden rays, fantasies of bliss descended in mirred Elysian haze, and in lyre-born chords extended harmonies of Lydian lays. There, thought I, lie scenes of pleasure, where the free and blessed dwell, and each moment bears a treasure freighted with a lotus spell, and there floats a liquid measure from the lute of Israfel. There, I told myself, were shining worlds of happiness unknown, peace and innocence entwining by the crowned virtue's throne, men of light, their thoughts refining, purer, fairer than our own. Thus I mused, when o'er the vision crept a red delirious change, hope dissolving to derision, beauty to distortion strange, hymnic chords in weird collision, spectral sights in endless range. Crimson burned the star of sadness, as behind the beams I peered. All was woe seemed but gladness, ere my gaze with truth was sheared. Cacodaman demons mirred with madness, through the fevered flickering leered. Now I know the fiendish fable that golden glitter bore. Now I shun the spangled sable that I watched and loved before. But the horror set and stable haunts my soul forevermore.